Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, I'm Mark, and it's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate.
It's time for another episode of Through the Garden Gate. Let's get Jamie in. Hello.
Hi, Mark. Why haven't you got a hat on, Mark?
It's me, Jamie.
Oh, sorry. Hey, George.
Hello. I'm taking
I see.
over. Mark's not here tonight.
Isn't he? I see that you've been to the Big Smoke.
Yeah,
You went to London.
London. Yeah, yesterday.
Is it good?
It was good.
Ah, brilliant. It looked really good.
There is a surprise. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm there.
Tell people the context behind it.
So, as you know, last week it was the Green Fingers special.
It was.
For my charity walk. So, and the total now is craziness.
What are we up to?
£511.
Oh my goodness, that is ridiculous.
I know.
So last week, this time, I think it was about £40-50. I remember I saw it, and then I done my little donation. 511. That is a brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
Wow.
Am I allowed to be on Through the Garden Gate anymore?
Cool.
We've definitely got to stand in.
I just want to.
Then I bet you're really pleased with your donations, George.
Yeah. I know.
Amazing.
It's Tuesday and the walk's on Sunday, so
You can probably get some more.
Yeah, so we've still got,
That's
what,
4
5 more days?
Yep, 4 days, and people can still donate afterwards as well.
Yeah.
they can
brilliant.
still they have Dad. Obviously, after the walk's done, and we send it. It's already at charity now, so where do we go? Where do we go?
Or maybe a week after you've done your
Yeah,
walk.
let everybody catch up afterwards. They can
Yeah.
see all the
And
videos
then we
and things
post
afterwards.
a video of you doing your walk and stuff.
Yeah.
So
We
everybody
might-
can see.
We might even do one of these on the walk,
Live,
like a live, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Yeah,
Just so you can tell everybody how you're doing.
yeah.
So, for anybody not knowing what we're talking about, George is doing a sponsored walk for the Green Fingers charity next Sunday. How far is the walk, George?
8 miles, isn't it? Yeah.
8 long miles.
Got some practice in London.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you got your steps in
My mum
London.
and my dad are basically bankrupt now. Yeah, because when my mum got up this morning, she checked her bank account and there was only £10 left.
George has spent it all.
Gone to London.
It was like £1 to get us through, like you know where the tube is. So we tried to get on the tube. So when the funny thing, it wasn't funny at the time. But when we were supposed to get there, we got there like 9 o'clock, I think. And then we got to the station. We walked into the building, and then it said on the telly, the 9:21 train has been cancelled due to a fog.
Oh no!
So we had to wait for another 44 minutes to get it. Yeah. Yes. And we had to wait for another 20 minutes.
Oh, that's terrible.
But the nice man sorted us out some seats in first class, didn't he?
Yeah, first class.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
We
That was good.
we didn't even pay for first class. So when the master offered us a drink, they were like, "We haven't even paid for this." So We didn't do anything.
Ah,
We
brilliant.
were supposed to talk to a man called Tom, but Tom was on the other carriage of the end of like the train, so we had to just sit where we were.
And you went to the Formula One experience.
Yeah,
Good.
it was really good. We got the glimpse of the real. We got to see the real wreckage of the real car off Roman Grosjean's crash.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what happened was, this was it way back in 2020. What happened was they got underway, went around the first few corners, and then
Crashed through the barrier.
crashed through the barrier and burst on fire,
Oh gosh.
burst into flames. Roman Grosjean survived though.
He was
He's
all
fine.
right, wasn't he? Yeah.
Apart from some burnt hands, he's fine.
I'm sure he could cope with that, considering.
And we also got
Yeah.
to see Lewis's 2018 car, the real one.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
You were
That's
lucky.
not a nice garden.
Yeah. Every place that we go to, my dad seems to find a garden.
Of course. Definitely.
You know, fun with that.
That's what we do.
We went to Everyman's cinema to get lunch.
Nice, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we had a mini, and we saw the mini model of James Bond's car from the movie. It was really good.
Brilliant. And you had some fantastic day, didn't you?
Yeah,
Come and get George then, Mummy.
really.
Well, you need your hair drying.
Oh yeah, I do.
You'll get cold out here. She'll be a while, yeah. She's got to walk down the garden, hasn't she?
Another like 10 minutes. Yeah.
A long way down your garden, we know that.
Long way.
Oh, Dash. Dash, what are you doing?
So we know for sure you've been down the pub because you posted a picture.
I did. Did you see the crisps? The crisps were lovely.
They look
Chorizo.
Hey,
Chorizo flavour
Jamie,
crisps, they were fantastic.
Jamie, by the way, we might be going to see Nibbles tomorrow, the automatic lawnmower.
Oh, you're going to work?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it for weeks because I haven't seen Nibbles for 7 weeks.
Do you think he knows that? Will he be excited?
Well, he's charging now, so I bet he's going to come out about. He's out probably now, so
yeah, with his headlights on.
yeah. So we'll probably get there about 10:30, I think. Have lunch with you then, if that's okay.
I would imagine that Nibbles doesn't.
About,
Nibbles doesn't have to work as much these days, does he? He's slowing down a bit.
No, it's hard work trying to keep all the leaves off the lawn.
Yeah, because the
Otherwise
last
it gets tangled.
yeah.
Oh, will he?
So
Locks the wheels up.
yeah. So Dad, you have your lunch at 12.
Yep.
And then we have lunch with you, and then
And then you're going to go to Brick Garden Centre.
yeah, and then we're going to leave about 12:30.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to Brick Garden Centre and see the singing polar bears and stuff like that.
Oh, lovely. Polar bears?
Yeah, they were singing polar bears.
Surely it's Halloween before polar bears.
I know. I know, right?
There's Mummy. I can hear
I
her.
can see the ghost. Bye.
See
See you
you,
later.
George.
See you tomorrow.
Ta-da, mate.
What?
Evening.
Evening. So yeah, he's doing his walk on Sunday, which is all the way from Harby to Lincoln Castle.
Yeah, that's going to be brilliant. Really,
Hope
really
the weather,
good.
hope the weather holds out because at the moment
It says it's going to be all right. Well, here it does, actually, for 2 weeks. We got no bad weather for a couple of weeks.
must be nice.
Mm.
You get all that wind the other day.
We got a lot of rain on Saturday and then wind on Sunday.
A lot of people getting stuff blown away because of the wind.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been terrible. Really bad. But yesterday and today have been fantastic. It was about 18 degrees today.
blowing all the nice autumn colour away.
Yeah.
All the nice leaves.
Do we look like we're in HD, Mark?
Why, have you got a new phone?
No. Have you got new glasses?
Yeah, I have got new glasses.
Everything must look completely lovely and crisp and clear and.
It's not good.
Thank you very much.
And what I'm going around, noticing all the muck everywhere. I was blissfully unaware before. Now I need to get on with things and get things tidy.
You can't use that as an excuse anymore.
At least I won't get told off anymore. Hey, your glasses cleaned. As Linda, the lovely green finger charity lady, said to me at Glee.
Did
Go
she?
clean your glasses. I said they are clean. They're just scratched.
I must admit, I'd looked at them lots and lots of times and thought, are they clean? Are they scratched? Are they tinted? I don't know.
They're just wrecked.
But when you put that post up the other day and I went, that's the first time I've ever seen Mark's eyes.
7 years of scratched glasses. Well, they weren't
Bloody
scratched when they were new, but they've probably been scratched for the last 4 years at least.
Wow.
Maybe 5.
Bloody hell. So I need mine just for close-up stuff, reading and on here. But even if I have a tiniest little bit of anything, I can't do it.
Problem is now,
Get rid of
I
it.
notice any little, I'm constantly getting them off and cleaning them because you noticed even the little.
Yeah.
I'm getting paranoid, like getting smacked in the face by trees whilst on the mower today. I'm like, get off me glasses.
Yeah, you need a cheap pair for work, don't you?
Yeah. I can't really go back to wearing my old ones now because I'll definitely not be able to see anything.
No,
Now I've got it. It was bizarre though when I picked them up and put them on. I was just like, all right, this is what the world looks like. I can actually see my phone now without squinting.
I honestly wasn't sure whether they were tinted for some reason or something.
No,
They were that scratched.
they were just wrecked.
Bloody hell! Wow.
It's funny what you get used to, though, isn't it? Because if I put them back on now, I'd really struggle to see.
Oh yeah, it'd be horrible.
It took a good 24 hours with these ones to actually get used to it because it was a bit like dazzling how bright and clear everything was.
I suppose because your prescription's changed and they're all clear as well.
Yeah, my prescription hadn't actually changed at all.
Oh,
Really, she said it was very, very slight in one eye, but other than that, I'm surprised I'm not blinded myself.
bloody hell!
Wearing those things for that as long as it is.
Jesus.
Never mind.
Oh, I think my I don't know if anybody's put in any comments because I think mine has stopped already.
Okay.
So you're on comment duty tonight. Don't know whether I can't see whether our guest's in or not either because my things don't work. Yeah, he's there. He's there. Let's get our guest in because I'm really excited about tonight.
So tonight's guest is a grower of sustainable British flowers, a fourth generation family run business specialising in Alstroemeria with over 70 different varieties. He is an absolute rock star fronting his British Flowers Rocks movement, taking on the supermarkets, trying to get a fair deal for the British flower farmers. It is of course Ben Cross, aka Alstroemeria Ben.
Aloha.
Good evening.
Yeah, that was cool. I love George, man. He's doing a good job.
He's brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah, legend, little legend. I love that dude. So, yeah, but thanks very much for the intro as well. It's all very professional. Loving it.
That's probably the only professional part of the whole podcast.
Yeah. Well, let's start off on a good track. So
Yeah.
But thanks very much for having me on, guys. I'm I'm stoked. So thanks very much.
No, not at all. We've really been looking forward to it, to be honest. Really been looking forward to it.
Thank you very much. So where do you want to start? What do you want to
So
chat about?
let's get out of the way what you do and the farm and everything first, and then we'll talk on to about British Flowers Rocks.
Yeah,
So four generations of your nursery then.
Yeah, so I guess for those that don't know me, I'm some fourth generation award-winning grower from Crosslands Flower Nursery, and we're based in West Sussex, down on the south coast. So we got the South Downs National Park 5 minutes to the north, and the beach 5 minutes to the south. So beautiful microclimate, best place for growing, best soil, best light levels. We didn't have a single frost last winter, and yeah, beautiful. 20 degrees here. Still in shorts and t-shirt in the greenhouses, and where are we? Mid-October, beautiful. So yeah, loving life. So yeah, brief history. Some of you probably have heard of the Land Settlement Association, but maybe not. Basically, Great Depression of the 30s, high unemployment, a lot of shipbuilders, a lot of miners out of work. There wasn't like the benefit system like we have today. Back then, the government's benefit system was setting up over 20 areas around the UK where unemployed families would go and work and farm the land. And the largest one of those market settlements was down in Sidlesham, just south of Chai. You don't call it Chichester, call it Chai. And there's 150 market gardens down at Sidlesham near Chai. And my great-grandparents, Albert and Louisa, were originals, one of the original families in 1936 to take the government up on this benefit scheme, and started growing fruit, veg, had a menagerie of farm animals. And my granddad then joined them after World War II. He met my nan, who was a Pompey girl from Portsmouth. And we moved to Crosslands in 57. So been going and growing since 1936 as part of that government initiative called the Land Settlement Association. And we've been based here at Crosslands since 57. And when Grandad bought this land, it was at the back of a big nursery where they used to grow Christmas trees. So the first product we sold off of our land were Christmas trees that we had to take down and make way for back then old wooden greenhouses. We then had the big storm of 87, and that was one of my first memories as a 2-3-year-old, given a bucket and picking up broken glass as a toddler, helping my granddad out. So water is, yeah, straight in with it. No health and safety.
I always wondered why you only got 2 fingers, but
so a proper sort of country bumpkin. And yeah, I did marine biology from 2000 to 2011, and a lot of nurseries. I mean, there were about 6 or 8 Ulstramania nurseries just outside my little village, as well as roses at West Biltington, Stock, Sweet Williams, loads of flowers grown in big or relatively big 4-5 acre greenhouses, family farms, and one by one they were all going. And I left marine biology to sort of carry on my family sort of legacy, because I guess it was sort of in my blood. And right, wrong, black and white. If we can grow something of quality in our own country, we don't have to have electric car batteries down octopus's necks in 10 years' time. We can save enough carbon if we can grow our own stuff. So, yeah, it was right, wrong, black and white. So it sort of, my passion came through, and came back to the nursery in 2011, tried to get help. From government, DEFRA, NFU to help the British flower grower, and no one can be bothered, and they still can't. So in 2014, I started my own little messaging, my own little campaign, and 650 talks and nursery tours later, people are still booking me for podcasts, and I've got over 30 odd talks next year to do, and that'll be 11 years of doing my British Flowers Rock sort of messaging. So that's a brief history. There you go.
Brilliant. Let's just rewind back a bit then, right back. So to start with, your great-grandparents, wasn't just flowers, it was everything. It was what they could eat and to sell, was it?
Yeah, so you can Google it, web search it. It's now a National Lottery funded historic scheme called the Land Settlement Association, the LSA Sidlesham. If you type that into your web search, you'll get the web page on it. And basically that was the benefit system. We were more sustainable in the 30s than we are now. If there's an ash cloud Brexits, COVIDs, dodgy weather in North Africa, or war in another country, we're worried about hiking food prices, empty shelves. We're 60 odd million people stuck on this tiny little island, and we're heavily reliant on cheap foreign imports coming in very, very high volume.
Yeah.
But back then, lorries used to go up and down the lanes of Siddlesham, round West Sussex, picking up all that beautiful homegrown produce, your fruit, veg, eggs, and so on. Used to go up to the market at Covent, Spitalfields, Weston, the big markets round the M25. And back then, your shops used to go into the market, collect all that homegrown produce, and that's how we survived. And we did survive. We got through wars. We had the Land Girls, that dig for Britain, grow for Britain, that British bulldog spirit. That's where it all stems from the LSA. So yeah, if viewers and listeners want to know more, type that into your web search, LSA or Land Settlement Association Siddlesham, and so you'll get the whole history about it. And yeah, unfortunately, Margaret Thatcher got rid of it in the 80s when she sold our water, electric, gas, and land. So all of that beautiful land that the LSA covered, she sold that for multi-million-pound grand design houses, which they are now. If ever you come down to West Sussex, if you go to Siddlesham, you can do the LSA Siddlesham Heritage Trail, and there's sort of old relics of wooden greenhouses in people's backyards. There's this massive $1 million house with like a little greenhouse in the back, all overgrown, you know. But yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah.
So in the, did you say that this in the 60s, your grandparents then went to Crosslands?
Yeah.
Bought Crosslands.
So yeah, when you wanted to be part of the LSA, back then you didn't need to go to horticultural colleges, get a degree in horticulture. Literally, if you were out of work and needed to work, up went your hand and you signed on the dotted line and you started your new life on one of these market gardens. And there was sort of three groups of people. First group of people coming from sort of inner cities, mining, shipping backgrounds, very social. They come to somewhere like Siddlesham on one of these market gardens, flat, barren, Spartan, hardworking. Some people just didn't get on with horticulture, agriculture. Second group of people really tried to get on with it, but didn't have the natural knack or ability for growing anything. Third group of people, which my family were part of, is that you got on with the LSA very, very well. And when you were part of this government scheme, the government sold your produce through the scheme, a bit like a marketing tool. So they go to my great-grandparents and my grandparents, Mr. Crosser sold you eggs for that much, your courgettes for that much, here's your percentage, and people getting on well with it were like, why are we doing this? Why can't we set up on our own? Then all the profits are our own. And that's what the government urged people to do. The government was incredible back then, wasn't it, for horticulture?
Yeah,
they gave
sounds
a
like
free
it.
house, a free pack house, free greenhouses, all this land. And basically it was survival of the fittest. If you got on with the scheme, you could save up enough money through the scheme to buy your own patch of land. And that's what my granddad did in 57. Yeah. And what a lot of families did up and down the country. That's how a lot of your nurseries and family businesses started, from the LSA.
Oh yeah, how interesting. When you think about it, that's why all these nurseries are plotted about everywhere. Oh,
Yeah. And as I
brilliant.
say, the largest one of the settlements was at Siddlesham, because there was 150 market gardens just at Siddlesham, then another 19 areas like that around the UK, and that was the benefit system. You know, no jabs, no 280 million pounds spent for jabbing people. It was like, there you go, make the country economical and sustainable, and you know, we're going to be self-sufficient. What we're going to consume within our country, fruit, veg, flowers, etc., is what we're going to grow here, and we're not going to rely on imported stuff. And back then it was incredible, an incredible thing. A lot of people have heard of the March to Jarrow and the Great Depression, but not a lot of people have heard of the LSA. But the LSA got people back into work and got the country through very, very difficult times, you know.
Yeah, definitely sounds like it. So when they bought Crosslands, was it still fruit, veg, and flowers, or when did they transition over?
Yeah, so when we moved here to Crosslands in 57, it was very much a continuation of what families were doing on the LSAs, growing a real diverse range of salad crops and veggie crops. You'd have a menagerie of farm animals here, but then the birth of the supermarkets in the 60s, 70s, you guys, the public, got used to having things way out of season, you know, blueberries and strawberries for Christmas. And why go to West Sussex for 100 pallets of this and 100 pallets of that, when you can go to Cambodia, Colombia, Kenya, Ecuador for millions of this and millions of that, dirt cheap, and you didn't have to worry about the weather back then because there wasn't climate change as there is now. And now, you know, about 2-3 years ago, we were rationed. You couldn't have your 5 a day. This week you can only have 1 pack of peppers and 1 pack of tomatoes because we were rationed because of the dodgy weather in North Africa. So the food is the food security in this country is so fine, it's so finite. If one dodgy patch of weather or an ash cloud or something happens worldwide, it really affects our food security. But back then, as I say, the supermarkets, no one cares about it still anyway, but back then it was like, well, yeah, if we can buy it in cheaper. So no longer could growers like us grow lots of different things on our market garden because you just couldn't compete with all the cheap imports coming in very, very high volume. So a lot of your viewers and listeners have probably heard of right plant, right place. Yeah. So why try and grow something on a large scale that takes a lot of input to get a little bit out of it? The Alstroemeria loves it here, living in West Sussex. It's a nice cool crop, doesn't take a lot of heat. It's a dry crop, doesn't take a lot of water. And in a metre squared, a patch of land about a metre squared, if you stood there for a year with the commercial varieties, you'd harvest about 200-300 stems in a metre squared. Multiply that by our big heated greenhouses. We then had a product we could supply you guys, the public, with a kaleidoscope, a smorgasbord, a plethora of different colours and varieties back when the wholesaler supermarkets wanted to buy British. So it was seen as a good alternative all year round crop, and slowly but surely the whole nursery came over to Alstroemeria. So right plant, right place, lovely and sustainable to grow within the south of the UK, and you get a lot in your area, so you could supply the wholesalers and supermarkets, as I say, back when they treated us fairly and wanted to buy British as best they can in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah. So that's all the same as the fruit and veg now. The flowers are coming in thick and fast from all over the world, and that's what we don't want.
Well, it's not what the planet wants. Do you know what I mean? We only got one, and we need to look after it. And when it comes to the £2.2 billion industry that's the UK flower industry, it's totally unregulated, and we're probably 30-40 years behind in terms of the fashion industry. 100% recycled, you can wash it at 30. You buy video games, you'll probably buy GTA 6 for George maybe at Christmas, but it will have the E for explicit on the pack of the music or the video game. Food has come a long way with your Jamies, Jimmys, Hugh Fernleys. You know, we would be eating worse than we are now. You know, at least you've got a choice of free range and battery and barn eggs. Do you know what I mean? But with flowers, we're 30-40 years behind in terms of product placement, labeling. And you may have heard in horticulture the terminology greenwashing, which is like brainwashing, but greenwashing. So I'll give you an example. Spooky season, Halloween is upon us. How many supermarkets will have Halloween bouquet 10 quid with plastic rods and plastic sparkly pumpkins in, plastic rods with plastic sparkly spiders in? There's more packaging in the flower industry. And also those bouquets, they won't say what chemicals are on the flowers, what chemicals are sprayed on the packaging, not when they were harvested, where they were harvested. You've got no information apart from Halloween bouquet, 10 quid or whatever. And you just wouldn't get that with any other industry in terms of fashion, music, video games, movies, food, and so on. And things are getting worse in terms of that sort of greenwashing and labeling and product placement.
So I've only been gardening really for the last 4 years, and before that I was the same as probably 95% of the whole public. Yeah. Oh, look at that bunch of flowers amongst the other 50 or 500 bunches in Tesco's, and you buy it. But now you say about it, and I've started to learn a bit in the last few years. Like you said, we now all say we don't want the insecticides, the pesticides, God knows what, on our food. But how much is on the flowers when they come over?
Well, you may notice roses have no scent, stay tight, go black and brown. Big lilies stay like big brown bananas. Alstroemeria, they never open up properly. They're wishy-washy and pale. So flowers take about 4 weeks to get from Kenya into a shipping container, frozen at about 0.5 degrees, treated with loads of chemicals to keep them looking fresh. Then they go into Holland, through Holland, through the Dutch auctions, into another container, over to Great Yarmouth, because that's the shortest bit of water from Europe to us. Then you have Freddie's Flowers, Wild and Bloom, Interflora, Funky Pigeon, Moonpig, supermarket stuff, warehouses are all in the Midlands, because that's easy for them to distribute. Then if we take the Co-op, for example, it will go from the Midlands down to the Southern Co-op depot in Hampshire, and then from that Southern Co-op depot in Hampshire, it will get distributed out to the counties. Then it will go into the shops. It will have a 5-day guarantee on it, but what's the chance you're going to get your hands on it as soon as it hits the stores? And you might give it to a friend and it might last them a few days, but it was picked nearly a month ago. There's a lot of emphasis on the imported fruit, veg and flowers. They call it post-harvest treatment. How do we get something perishable in Kenya still looking good in someone's house in England in 4 weeks' time? Well, it's a bit like Han Solo in Jabba's palace. Got cryogenic time at about 0.5 degree, pumped with loads of chemicals. And yeah, it's a bit like you. If you go out and you walk your dog in the cold and you go to your local pub, you're stressed out. Where do you want to sit? Near your fire. And they're stressing these flowers out. So when you bring them into your home, they have no scent. They never open up properly. They're never going to be the colour that nature intended it to be because they're harvested too tight. Basically, if they pick them too tight, they can fit more in a shipping container and more in an aeroplane. Basically, if you fit more of the same thing in the same space, you make more money. They don't care about ripeness. So the big difference with our bad boys, you can see behind me here, they're all nice and big fat buds. And they'll produce bigger flower heads and more vibrant flower heads. And guess what my post-harvest treatment is? Within 2 days' time,
water.
They're in your vase in your house.
Exactly.
I don't need any chemicals. So as soon as we harvest our crop, we don't add any chemicals to the flowers, no chemicals to the packaging because they line the packaging with chemicals to stop the buds opening in transit. Pick up a bunch of flowers in most shops. What have they attached, stuck to the bunch of flowers down the bottom?
Sachet.
Yeah, so we talk about the millions and millions of ketchup and mayo sachets around the UK right now. What about the millions and millions of plastic flower food sachets around the UK right now? So with my bad boys, you don't need any flower food, any extra packaging. And say a lot of florists and people that collect direct from the nursery, they just have the raw product, no packaging needed. And all my packaging I use that goes around the UK, it's all reusable and recyclable anyway. So, yeah.
So what is it? What is it? Oh, go on, Mark. Sorry.
How can it possibly be cheaper to buy something from Kenya and ship it all the way over, and it's still
ridiculous.
be less than what you can produce it for? It's ridiculous.
So when supermarkets used to treat us fairly, they used to give us more money in the winter so we could turn our heating on. You know, farmers and growers used to get treated pretty okay, and the government supported us and so on and so on. But now, for example, we used to get 20 odd p in the 70s and 80s. Now they want it for 8p. I mean, my costs have gone up thousands of percent since then. You know, someone like me gets paid $1 a day in Kenya. Well, that's absolutely fine for their economies and whatever, because it's fair trade. So all fair trade is our government giving other governments money to grow stuff that comes all the way back to our country, and those boats and planes go back empty because we don't produce anything those countries want. So half the carbon footprint is wasted. You know, we have a minimum wage here to pay. We've got stuff, we've got to grow it legally. So all of our plants are grown under license, so it'd be illegal for me to sell my roots and sell the plants. We sell the flowers only. But a lot of illegal root division did happen in Kenya, Cambodia, Colombia, Ecuador. They've got a bit hotter on that now, but say within the UK, it's a protected ornamental, so you want to grow all stromeria in a greenhouse, or if you're growing them outside, you really want to grow them in pots because they'll stunt their growth in the prevailing northeasterly or southwesterly. And if you've got them in pots, you can take them indoors, have them as a house plant all winter, and get flowers from them all year round, like I get flowers all year round in the greenhouse. But in those other countries, they could grow out in a field with a bit of poly over and you know, get big quick illegally. But they've got a bit hotter on that now. So, yeah, you can't compete. There's no fair trade for UK farmers and growers, and it's stupid. So our government won't give me a cent, dollar or dime. We're the only sector of farming and growing that I know of that don't get any funding. So we don't get any upgrades to our greenhouses. We don't get any help at all. So everything that we have on the nursery, we have to look after. And if things go wrong, we have to pay out for everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, unlike in Holland, where their government give them new greenhouses every 3 or 4 years. Do you know what I mean? They actually support their flower industry, whereas our government, there's no one in our government who deals with horticulture.
Ridiculous. That is the biggest thing that needs to change, which makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you think this because it's classed? Is it classed as a luxury item and not an essential?
A Mars bar's essential.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky Charms essential. They've got your red circle of death, your E numbers and everything going into it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
shouldn't flowers have what chemicals are on the packaging? What chemicals are on the
100%. Yeah,
the
that's what I
carbon
wanted. I
footprint?
wanted to get into a bit more. See,
Video games is high fashion. Is that needed? But it's all got a carbon footprint. Even when you watch a David Attenborough program, at the end they'll give a carbon footprint rating of how much carbon it took to film a millisecond of an octopus underwater. You know,
Yeah.
but we're all made aware of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But with flowers, people haven't got a diddly squat. Do you know what I mean? So over 90%. Over 90% of flowers in the UK are now imported, and we don't just mean supermarkets. Yes, 60% of the UK population, you buy your flowers either going into a supermarket or getting a Cardo M&S or whatever to deliver. But as well as supermarkets, we got gas station flowers, petrol station flowers, a letterbox. You know, Freddie's flowers, Wild and Bloom, Bloom and Wild, Funky
they're big.
and all that. We got florists import flowers. You got farm shops import flowers to sell, or just when you're out and about, you might go to a restaurant. They might have a locally sourced food menu, but where's those flowers come from that are on your table? So just when you're out and about in your daily lives, you might go to the hairdresser. They might have a vase of flowers on reception desk. There's over 90% chance that they've been flown in and not homegrown, and we want to be pushing homegrown blooms and not flown blooms. Do you know what I mean? So when we talk about over 90% imported, that's just in your daily lives when you're out and about in the UK, not just supermarkets. Yeah.
I tell you what's shocked me a little bit is he said that it all comes from Kenya and everywhere else, but it goes through Holland.
Yeah, pretty much everything goes through Holland, through the Dutch auctions, and because obviously we've got Austrameria, we have reps that try and sell us the plants. I'm always interested in what's going on around the world. So there used to be lots of Austrameria growers, obviously, in Holland. Now there's only 12 because things are going into their country and out of their country cheaper than they can grow it. California, I've got basically the American version of Flowers from the Farm. The head poncho, the head chap, he's actually got family in Chichester, and he's coming here in November and just to discuss how my campaign's doing and what we're doing. And over 80% of American flowers are imported. California used to be a big flower growing hub in California, and they've been impacted with the cheap Colombian stuff. So it's not just our problem; it's like a global problem where you just can't compete on the price. But my theory is just skip out all the middlemen and sell direct. And that's what we do. We sell direct to the public, direct to florists, direct to farm shops, cafes, restaurants. And yeah, that's basically how we survive. We've diversified who we supply to survive. You know, if we solely relied on supermarkets and wholesalers, we'd have died in the early 90s at least, you know, like all the other people. So yeah, it's tough, you know. Yeah.
Shocking.
The chemicals that are on these flowers to stop them opening, or God knows what, from Kenya, do we know that when we open that cellophane packet in our kitchen, does anybody know what's happening?
No,
there?
and a lot of people, when they realise this, you might pick up a bunch of flowers and it might look quite good in the supermarket. Supermarket, it's not a vacation, is it? They're brightly lit, narrow paths, and pretty dang cold. And with the chemicals on the flowers and around the packaging, when you take it home, put it in your 20-degree living room, take off that packaging that's got all the chemicals on and things, and the flowers go, bleh. Because they've just been exposed to a normal 20-degree temperature for the first time in about 4 weeks. And the chemicals that were once surrounding it are no longer there, and the other chemicals sort of wear off. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's absolutely mad. It's absolutely bonkers. They call it, say, post-harvest treatment. It's preservatives, just like they preserve, your fruit, veg, and things in the plastic packaging. It's exactly the same sort of style. It's
Well, the chemicals must be then coming into our environment. We're breathing it in, and
yeah,
goodness,
sure.
what else?
Yeah. Yeah, but we haven't even mentioned. So we don't even we don't use any pesticides or insecticides at Crosslands. It's all about biocontrol. So we use the little cards of Incard.
Yeah, yeah.
So we hang these up on eggplant or aubergine plants, tomato, courgette, cucumber plants. So we do a lot of permaculture. So we grow a lot of that through the greenhouses and have the Incarsia that eat the whitefly. We've also got Phytocelis. So you get about 2,500 Phytocelis in a vial. These are mites. They're twice the size of the spider mite. You sprinkle these guys over your spider mite, and these guys chomp down and feast out on the spider mite. And once these guys are done eating the spider mite, these then eat themselves. They don't actually harm the crop. And then, as well as using biocontrol, we use the red and yellow sticky traps. The red ones are supposed to be good for leafhopper, but I mainly use the yellow ones for leafhopper, aphid, whitefly, and so on. So, generally, we know when we're going to get stuff, and we're not loading up the helicopter, we're not loading up the aeroplane and blanket spraying hundreds of acres of fields in Kenya and so on. That gets into the water resource, and babies are born with 3 arms and whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely bonkers. So that's the big difference, that we're using biology to combat our pests and not blanket spraying everything. So it's growing something in the UK. Yes, we can't grow probably loads of expensive roses or bird of paradise or whatever, but as I say, especially with our warmer climate now, Austrameria just loves growing here, and I just don't know why the government don't back our growers that can grow stuff of quality, and that will reduce our carbon footprint anyway, because we're not importing it, as well as all the chemicals and all the other stuff. So it's madness. But there you go. That's what I fight for. I fight for right, wrong, black and white, and the environment.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And so I don't buy my wife probably as many flowers as I should do. But the last
you always in trouble?
No, just because she deserves them, Ben. Just because she deserves them. But the last bunch I did buy her, I bought them from you, and you sent them through within 2 days. They returned up, and absolutely amazing. We got 3 massive vases full, and they were all nice. They were tight buds, but not that tight. You could see they were nearly ready to pop, and within a few days, what an amazing show! Absolutely stunning.
Well, that's the big difference. So we harvest our flowers at the correct ripe bud stage. So the foreign flowers, it would be like picking an orangey tomato, a yellowy green strawberry. They're nowhere near ripe. And basically, if you pick flowers too tight or too immature, they'll never be the flower and the colour and the vibrancy that nature intended it. So we harvest them at nice, big, fat, elongated buds. And that produces a bigger flower head and a more vibrant flower head. And people think when they go shopping for flowers, they need the tightest buds because they're going to last longer. No, if you pull something from Mother Earth, it will last 2 weeks. If you pull something from Mother Earth, it will last 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. So you actually want nice, big, ripe, fat buds, and that's the sort of flowers that you want to be looking for, because who wants to buy foreign tomatoes that just stay orange, never ripen, and then just taste of powder? Food and flowers, it's exactly the same thing when you come to harvest it and pick your fruit or pick your flowers.
Yeah, no, it's no different than the tomatoes. I've been looking into how the tomatoes come over, and they come over before they ripen, and then they just hammer it with gas when it's nearly here on the boat, and then they go this funny orange colour, and that's it. That's all they stay.
Yeah. So food, flowers, it's very, very similar. It's all perishable goods that are travelling thousands of miles and chemical miles around the world. So yeah,
definitely. Yeah, and so after they opened, I can say that they were still looking good. At least 2.5 to 3 weeks later. Really, really good.
Well, thank you. I didn't pay you for that, did I?
You didn't.
Say that?
You didn't. I paid you, man.
But yeah, so that's what we do. So we as I say, we just supply anyone that cares about traceability and planet Earth. Do you know what I mean? We only got one, and we need to look after it. So that's
Yeah,
sort of
definitely.
how we roll here. Yeah, yeah.
And you've got 70 varieties.
Yes. So that's why. So I go off around the UK, giving the British Flowers Rock talks, and we also do nursery tours as well. And people really appreciate that, because people always say, "Oh, Ben, Australia, is that all you do?" Well, I don't sleep very much anyway, so I can't grow much else. But basically, it's a skill, it's an art. We have so we're pretty much the last nursery in the whole of the UK doing an English flower in a full colour range all year round. Those three simple facts that used to happen all around the UK, we're pretty much the only nursery. So if you want, I don't know, 100 red stems of British flowers for Valentine's Day, there's not many other nurseries you can go to. Do you know what I mean? In the depths of winter or whatever. So you have to have 8 varieties of white so you can produce white all year round. Growing over 70 different varieties, it's like growing over 70 different types of plants. They all behave completely differently. They're like us humans, do you know what I mean? And if you put one variety in greenhouse A, put the same variety in greenhouse B, different thickness of glass, different soil science, they'll behave completely differently. You get different pests, diseases. It's an art and a skill, and that again leads me on to talking about what this government and are calling our industry, low paid, unskilled labor. They call it unskilled labor, and that's something I really try and push through the talks and the tours, that it is a skill to get a baby little Australia plant into a nice big mature plant, keep that plant happy for 30, 40 years, all the whilst harvesting good quality blooms from it. That is a science, it is a profession, it is a skill. And until the government start putting that into junior school, high school curriculums, in 10, 20 years time, when we go, yeah, climate change, we're not really getting the fresh food that we used to get from these countries, maybe we should grow our own again, like in the 30s. We'll turn around and go, we don't have the people. Because who wanted to go into horticulture when they called it unskilled, low paid labor and all that? It's very, very dangerous calling this sector unskilled and low paid. It's only low paid because the government don't treat us right. And we go through about 20, 30 people a season that can't pick a flower. They can't handle a plant, they can't touch a plant, they can't feel a plant, they have no sense to grow and just handle a plant or a flower. They just snap it, break it, they're too slow, not efficient. And that's just picking a flower, let alone doing all the soil science and all the other stuff we do here, and all the heating and all the other bits we go on. So very, very dangerous for our sector to be called unskilled labour. Do you know what I mean? For future generations.
We're constantly talking about how horticulture is just so badly paid. All the time, Mark, aren't we? Every show near enough, it pops up that you can't earn any decent money from it. It's ridiculous.
Well, like we said before,
our government are giving other countries fair trade money. It's madness. It's absolutely bonkers. And until our government and the NFU and DEFRA, those sort of people get real, get with it, and actually there's someone in government dedicated to horticulture and plants and flowers, it's just only going to get worse. Do you know what I mean? Because you're working without, you're just working with what you got. Do you know what I mean? And every day, all the other countries are getting more advanced because they're getting more money and more backing, and they'll get more productivity, and they'll become cheaper to produce and things like that. More modern greenhouses, modern growing techniques and methods, and new innovations and things. Do you know what I mean? It's mental. Yeah.
That's just a vicious circle, isn't it? Because if they're getting better at it, they're getting more people employed in it. It's going to be cheaper and cheaper, so we keep buying it.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. That's how, Mark. That's how the imported stuff is cheaper.
But surely it's because they're exploiting people. They're not paying people a fair wage, which is why they can't.
Well, $1 a day is a fair wage in Kenya because it's Kenya.
It isn't.
I mean, they're taking advantage of that cheap labour, whereas obviously our minimum wage is now, what, 13, 14 quid or something? So
basically, we're flowers are used for keeping people poor, basically.
Yeah, so we recently, a few months ago, the government did the round of importation tax. So the importation tax on cheese, chocolate, fashion, glasses, and so on, and it all went up. Guess what? Flowers, the importation tax of flowers was left at
Oh God.
2%.
0% because we have to look after people in Africa, which is all well and good, but that also makes flowers so cheap because they're not even there's no importation tax on flowers and that kind of stuff, you know. So it's
Bloody
again,
hell.
it's all going against the local British grower. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, unlike with the chocolate that's gone up in price and your food that's gone up in price, your fashion, your clothes, your shoes, your glasses, everything has gone up. Yes, because of inflation, but also because every year they add importation tax onto stuff. So if it's imported, then it will go up a bit more. Do you know what I mean? So, but flowers, I was looking forward to it, you know, and they left it at 0%, which, yeah, it's no help to me.
Yeah, no brainer. That's just ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous.
It's redonkulous, yeah. But that's, you know, that's why I do the talks and the tours, and I thank you very much for having me on tonight because a lot of people don't appreciate it, don't know what's going on in the industry because I know I hate to say it, but you watch Country File and or whatever or Gardener's World, and everyone thinks, oh, it's all hunky dory country cottage garden. Well, it's not. There's people like me out there. It's my life.
Yeah.
You know, I get up at 5, 6 in the morning. I'm doing a podcast now. I've got some laptop bits to do, and tomorrow I've got another talk, another tour, and
Yeah,
the show continues. Do you know what I mean? This isn't country cottage gardening. This is my life. You know,
yeah,
it's my legacy. It's my fourth generation. It's not, you know, this isn't a little polytunnel in the back garden doing seasonal bits and bobs. This is real. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And I've tried to get on Country File and Gardener's World, and but they just no one seems to want to talk about it. And why? Because Jamie
It don't,
Oliver
don't make
puts up on
sense,
food
does
all the
it?
time. You know, there's 5-year-olds' teeth being pulled out because they drink Coca-Cola too much in his obese program. And you know, you've got Hugh Fernie doing the wonky veg and the war on
Yeah,
waste. And we
yeah.
need to get real because we discard tens and tens of thousands of stems a year because they're a bit wonky. They don't weigh 22.1 grams. So the stems behind me here in the bucket, they would be rejected. There's about 50 stems in there. Supermarket would reject them because they don't weigh enough. They're not straight enough. But they're
What?
standing up in a bucket behind me here. So that's our posy grade. So the flowers you had, Jamie, were my version of the wonky veg.
Brilliant.
60 centimeters tall, 8 to 10 stems in a bunch. Whack them in your vase. I mean, sorry, beautifully magically arrange them in a vase. And but do you know what I mean? It's absolutely madness. So we'll sell wonky veg, and we'll even sell wonky foreign veg, but they
Yeah.
won't sell my good stuff or the wonky stuff. It's insane.
Oh,
The amount
it's
of
just,
waste is
it's
bonkers. But there you go.
crazy. It's absolutely
Yeah,
crazy.
That's the most annoying thing, the waste. You know, how much
yeah,
stuff gets wasted.
yeah. And I've put as much love, fertilizer, heating, energy, water into growing wonky stems. They're not that wonky, you know, they might have a little kink in them, do you know what I mean? As I have the thick as your thumb ones, you know, you've put
Yeah,
as much carbon, time and energy and effort into it. And so that's why we actually sell a lot of the posy grade now, because florists can sell them outside their shop, 2 for a fiver, and undercut
yeah,
Mr. Sainsbury next door that's selling them for 5, 6 quid a bunch, and they can get 2 bunches at the local florist. So, you know, I'm trying to help florists as well because they're sort of struggling, and I'm proving that buying British doesn't have to be expensive. It can save you pennies and the planet. Do you know what I mean?
and let's face it, when you've whacked them into your vase and they've all bloomed anyway, they're all pushed outside and they all look lovely. Whatever happens,
Yeah, and
don't make.
most of my mates don't have vases. You know, they shove them in pint
Yeah,
glasses
yes,
or like measuring jugs or something. You know,
of course they do.
hardly any of my friends has a set of vases. Do you know what I mean? So
No,
they at 60 centimeters, they chop them in half and just whack them in a thing. And if you're a florist and you need it for a floral crown, a buttonhole, a little jam jar, a little bridesmaid posy,
they cut them off
Going even smaller.
anyway.
go for those stems. Go for the
Yeah,
shorter ones. Yeah, yeah.
brilliant. So I think you've covered a lot of stuff, but let's talk about British Flowers Rock. Because this is your thing. You've started it. Tell us all about that. Where did this all come from?
Uh, hmm, it was 20. So yeah, I came back to the nursery after doing marine biology so I did marine biology 2000 to 2011, and I tried to get help. So I had the local MP come round. I contacted, I was going big. I was contacting Countryfile, Gardener's World. I thought, oh, this will be easy. They'll lap this
Yeah.
up. They'll take this on board. They didn't. So I was getting weaker and weaker. I was getting to like local magazines, local newspapers. I couldn't even get on Portsmouth Radio gardening question time, and I was like, no one is helping here. No one is willing to take this and run with it. So in 2014, I was living off site. So I live on the nursery now because I have to, because it's just manic here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but then I was still living in a little village called Emsworth, and they had a gardening club, and they had posters every month around the village saying, "Oh, a talk on bird of paradise," or Monty Don's coming to town, or someone off garden question times coming to town. And there was a little phone number at the bottom of the poster if you wanted to be a member or whatever. And I just had an idea, and I thought, well, maybe they'll want someone who's local, who's real, who will say it as it is. And it's something that I can say that the local community could get involved with and help, because we were supplying the local farm shop at the time. I thought, oh, they might love that. They didn't. They didn't. They wanted people still from Gardener's World, and to sell the tickets, and So, but one night I was on the couch and I got a phone call from them. Their speaker had let them down, and I basically had 20 minutes, half an hour to get myself off the couch and get to the village hall. No, back then, no T-shirt, no hat, no business cards, no presentation, no videos, no slides. Just me stood in a room for an hour talking to you like I am today. And at the end of the talks, just silence. Do you know what I mean? Everyone was just dead quiet, and I was like, "Did you enjoy that? What's going on?" And then they started clapping and enjoying it. And then the next day, the phone was off the hook. Chichester, other clubs, U3As, WI, all these other clubs started phoning me, where people had,
word of mouth.
I'd written down my number and stuff on the board behind me, and people had taken me. And that was in 2014. And as I say, 10, 11 years later, I've done over 650, and I've not advertised one of the talks. It's all gone through word of mouth, and proving very frustratingly that they love the content, they love the idea, and that's the general public. But it's just annoying that no one further up the food chain deems it necessary to talk about or enlighten the 60 odd million people in this country about it. And it's just a real shame. It's very frustrating, because people go, "Oh, Ben, that was the best talk we've ever had. I learned so much, and you should go on Countryfile, you should go on TV, you should do all this." I'm like, yeah, I tried, and I keep trying, but they don't want to talk about it because it's, not PC or not, woke or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Not, but all I'm doing is keeping it real. All I'm saying is black, white, right, wrong.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just saying what's going on. Just like Jamie, Jimmy, Hugh Fermi, that have done with food. That's all I'm doing. I'm just highlighting, greenwashing and packaging and product placement and labeling.
Yeah.
I'm saying what it is. I mean, you go into Waitrose, and they used to have Kenya, tiny little writing on the Ulstrom area, with a blue tip, a bird on the packaging. And that's greenwashing. Most people would see the big UK native bird and think it's all country cottage local flowers. Now they've removed Kenya and they've put grown by our expert growers. That's like a politician telling you something without saying anything.
What?
You're not learning any information. Marks and Spencer used to have a picture of an aeroplane saying air freighted, top right hand corner. They've removed that and it just says the flower shop. A lot of letterbox companies say direct from the grower. How direct are we talking? Direct would be going into your backyard and picking the flower yourself, not getting sent around the world, going to different depots, then getting to your house.
We've gone backwards. We've gone backwards. If they're taking it off the packaging where it's come from.
Yeah.
Well, everything else you buy is now got on where it's come from, and it's going backwards with the flowers.
Yeah, everything, your fashion, food, cars, everything has got better labeling, better product placement. The consumer knows what they're going to get involved with. So we used to supply Sainsbury's, They used to have a picture of my uncle, top right-hand corner on the Sainsbury's Alstrom area,
Yeah.
and beautiful. Look him up on Facebook, all traceability. Then they got rid of that, which he was quite happy about because he got fed up of seeing his face in the supermarkets. And they put the British Union flag, top right-hand corner.
Right.
And a lot of people watching this and listening to this are thinking, oh, I do really well. I buy British flowers in supermarkets. But at what cost? Daffodils were £1.99, now they're 95p. Sweet williams were £4, now they're £2. Tulips were £8, now they're £6. You're buying British flowers in supermarkets cheaper now than you were in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's like dairy farmers pouring milk down the drain. You're not giving, it's not the grower's fault, it's the supermarket for buying it in cheaper and selling it a bit more expensive. They make a bit more money. And so then anyway, Sainsbury's got rid of the British flag and they lumped us in with the Colombian stuff. On their Ulstramere it said grown in UK/Colombia. I mean, it might as well say grown on planet Earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they got rid of us because Sainsbury's phoned me up on Valentine's Day 2020 and they said, of all days, and they said, Ben, we don't want your flowers because we can get them 4p cheaper a bunch from Colombia. And then it said Colombia on the label for about 2 weeks. Now, if you go into Sainsbury's, look at their flowers, it just says the price and that's it. And what flower it is, you know, and proving their information has gone downhill and the consumer's got more clueless, basically. So, yeah.
4p a bunch. So were they hoping for you to say, oh, okay, we'll knock 4p off?
Oh, no, because I was desperate. I did say I'll match the 4p, and they said, no, we've already done the deal with the Colombians, you know.
Wow.
Because they own it. They own it. They own it, you know. They own these farms. It's you just can't compete. You cannot compete. It's big contracts. You know, supermarkets deal with millions of stems, and basically, you just can't compete because British growers have been treated so badly from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, and 20s. We're so far behind that if a supermarket said, right, we're only going to stock British Ulstramarea, we wouldn't have the growing space. We don't have the techniques because we've not been looked after and we've not been treated fairly through the years. No. As you guys know, it takes a long time for a garden to get established and to get it rocking and rolling. And it's unsustainable, you know, But that's just in terms of packaging and how often now, I mean, most supermarkets on their flower stand, it will say seasonal bouquets. It's Christmas. There's a rose and a bird of paradise in that bouquet.
Yeah.
Basically, if it's not growing in your garden, it's not seasonal. And that's greenwashing in effect. You know, Tesco's, it says freshly hand-picked. Now let's dissect that. What's conjured up in your brain cells when I say hand-picked?
Yeah. So somebody's walking the field, picking them by hand. Freshly means the last day or two.
Hand-picked, really. If you go on YouTube, see flower picking machine and rows of flowers getting picked by computers.
No way.
Let's dissect the first bit of that, freshly or fresh.
Yeah.
What is conjured up in your mind?
A days.
Really? Not 4 weeks ago, like we discussed at the start of the podcast. That's greenwashing. Freshly hand-picked, seasonal bouquets.
But it's lies. It's blatant lies, though. How can they get away with putting blatant lies on there?
We also get it with plants, don't we? Where it says they might have the British tag, but it won't be grown in Britain, the plant. It would have just been stored here in a greenhouse for 6 weeks or something. So, you know, greenwashing is rife within the horticultural industry regarding plants and flowers. And yeah, just the general public, they don't have a clue because it's brainwashing, it's greenwashing. They just think, oh yeah, it must be British because it's direct from the grower. Or it must be British because it's freshly handpicked and so on. So
it's absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah. But as I say, we all know this. You just have to go. You just have to go in the supermarket or online on your letterbox company websites, and it comes across so ethical and sustainable. You know.
It doesn't, does it? It's just complete opposite. Complete opposite.
Yeah, but it's the world we live in. You know, it's yeah.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but it's not all doom and gloom. Do you know what I mean? We're getting out there, so
definitely.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I'll just say it how it is, and I'll just keep going. So.
Exactly. It's brilliant.
So that's how it stemmed from, basically, from a local village horticultural society not wanting me, and and their speaker letting them down, and that's how the talks. And then after every talk, people are like, oh, can we come and visit? Can we come and visit? And I'm like, health and safety, not really, but that's why we now do the organised nursery tours, and it's really good for people to get in instead of saying, oh, wholesaler, keep out. You know, we let people in an organised fashion. You may have heard of what's it called? Farming Sunday. What's the NFU called it? Farming Sunday, something like that. I've forgotten what it's called now because it's pretty naff. But basically, less than half the farms are open on a Sunday once a year, and it's letting the public in, seeing how it's all going. And I thought, oh, great idea! I'll just do that 24/7. So that's what we do. We let people in an organised fashion and do proper organised tours, and it really enlightens people to say, oh, yeah, you're not just whacking those plants in the ground and watering them. There's a lot involved in it, isn't there? I'm like, well, yeah, that's why we do the tours, so the public can engage and see that there's a lot of science and stuff involved with it, you know, a lot of skill involved with it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Was you going to say something, Mark?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think more people are getting into growing British flowers now? Because you see a lot of people on Instagram saying that they're going to start a flower farm.
Yeah,
I think I bet on the scale it's
on the scale we're still losing out. I mean, you can have a big family-run nursery, acres and acres. So we harvest millions of stems through the course of the year. Right now we're busy. We're doing thousands of bunches a day, but there's not many people like us left around the UK. You've got Smith and Munson, Naylor's Flowers, a few people, you know, quite a few people in Lincolnshire, but where I am, as I said earlier, there was even 6 or 8 Austrameria growers around Chichester. Now I'm the only flower grower of any scale within so many miles. Well, I mean, when I was a young whippersnapper, I used to get in the car and, you know, we used to do, my uncle was head of the Austrameria Society, and every month they'd have a barbecue and a get together, and, oh, what varieties are you growing? Oh, you're on sand, you're on clay, how are you dealing with that? And, you know, what pests have you got? How do you control? You know, you'd learn off of one another just in terms of growing Austrameria. Now I can't even go to a big nursery round here growing flowers because there's not one. When I first moved back to the nursery in 2011, most of my weekends with my dad was going to dilapidated greenhouses, collecting up stuff that was going to be thrown away that we could use, you know. There's a lot of other growers, and that's really cool to see that and push that. But again, it's the reality of over 90% imported, and that percentage is only going one way, because you could have 100 smaller growers but lose one big grower that's been growing all that knowledge and everything, and you've lost generations of skill and expertise and things like that. You know, it's florists are busy people. They want a consistent product pretty much all year round, and they don't want to be left in the lurch. If they order 100 stems of that for 4 a.m. on a Monday morning, that's what they want. And if they don't get it, they'll just go to the foreign flowers. If they get let down by British growers, they'll just go back to the cheap foreign stuff. So we need to, here at Crosslands, our customer service has to be better. Our flowers have to be better. Everything has to be better than the foreign to give you more bang for your buck, or more buds for your buck. Do you know what I mean? So, because, you know, a lot of florists, they contact me and go, oh, Ben, I don't use British flowers because I've had a bad experience here or a bad experience there. So florists are busy, hard-working people, and if they get let down, they'll just go back to their wholesaler or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I was just about to say that it's on the florist a bit to push to their customers about the British stuff, but if they've been let down, you can see if it's not there, they can't sell it.
That's the thing. My number one question I get asked every day is, Ben, do you know any other growers? 30, 40 years ago, yeah, sure, go for it. Florists, they used to, between sort of Southampton, Portsmouth and Brighton, florists used to drive up and down the south coast, collecting all these beautiful different types of flowers, and stocked up. That's how they did it. They drove around to all the nurseries, collecting all the fresh produce, and that's how florists run. But now I can't say to florists, oh yeah, there's that grower, because there just aren't. That's the number one question I get asked is, do you know anyone else like you, Ben? And I'm like, yeah, a handful of people, Smith and Munson, Redford Flowers, Nailers, the big ones. But yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult because it's this vicious circle. It all stems, nothing's drip feeding in to expand and to modernize and to innovate. If we don't have this trickling in, then there won't be the flowers that florists need and so on. It's a vicious old circle, yeah.
It really is. So, on a slightly different note, how do we grow Alstroemeria at home in our garden?
Oh, it's pretty dang easy, really. If you're not on sand and you're not on clay, they'll just go rampant. If you go to Wisley, they've got a lot of a variety called Indian Summer. Indian Summer, I've got it in my backyard. It's not a commercial variety, but it's a good garden variety. Indian Summer, you can get it online, get it at Wisley or lots of nurseries. It's a bronze coppery foliage variety with a beautiful orange, ready, vibrant bud, and that will just go rampant in your borders. If you don't like because Alstroemeria will just spread. It's a root tuber rhizome based system. It's not a seed or a bulb, so it will just go rampant. So if you don't like that, then just grow them in pots. And as I say, to be honest, my mum, she grows them in old barrels, old troughs, and things like that because they're more manageable. They won't take over your garden, and so you can have them as a house plant in the winter because the frost won't get it, and you can get flower all year round. And to be honest, the prettier coloured tend to be the dwarf varieties, so they'll only grow to 20-30 centimetres anyway, so they're better off in pots because they'll just get lost in your border. So Indian Summer is a good one for your borders, and if you want a bit of height and a bit of they're not a cut flower, as you know, they're a hand picked pulled flower, so you don't want to cut them. And so they're sort of good varieties, but you can find Alstroemeria at garden shows online, and you do want to get yourself a good plant. You can try and grow it from seed, but very, very little percentage that's going to work. You can buy the tubers and rhizomes. They look like aliens in bags, like parts of E.T.'s body in bags, but they're not great. So you want to get yourself a good quality, nice looking Alstroemeria plant, which can range from about 10 to 15 quid, something like that. So they're not expensive. And once you grow it, if you put it in the ground after 2 years, if you take off the green growth, dig up the crown, dig up the rhizome, the main bit, it will multiply, and you can split that into other little pots and start a gang of them and become my competitor. So there you go. Because the garden varieties don't come with a license, so you can divide them up and whatever. But my commercial varieties I grow, as I say, they're all grown under license. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank
but
you
yeah,
very
you
much.
can check out my IG account, Instagram. I've got lots of reels on how to grow Alstroemeria in gardens. Even though sort of I'm a large scale grower, I like to just do the videos as a bit of a laugh, and it just helps people if they want to grow Alstroemeria on a smaller scale, in their gardens and stuff. I quite like doing those little videos, Yeah.
Word.
Definitely. So we're getting close to the end now. So just tell us how people can buy the flowers from you, man.
Lots of ways.
What's the best way?
We've got a fresh website that was only launched 2-3 weeks ago. So you can check out crosslandsflowernursery.com. So you can check out the website. It's Crosslands Flower Nursery on Facebook, and it's Crosslands Alstroemeria on IG, on Instagram, and the links to my email and phone number and everything. So if people want to order flowers, book British Flowers Rock Talks for garden shows, garden festivals, or book nursery tours, you can do that all through social media or on the website. Yeah.
Brilliant. Sounds really good to me. I shall be... I haven't bought any more flowers from the supermarket since I bought yours, and the next time I do buy flowers for my wife, I will get them again from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, it's an addiction, isn't it? Growing, do you know what I mean? It's
that's why people do it, because they don't do it for the money. That's for sure.
Yeah. It keeps us out of trouble, and Yeah, and that's a good thing with the Alstroemeria, is that it's nice and sustainable. So a lot of our plants in the greenhouses are over 30, 40 years old, still
That's
producing
amazing.
good, beautiful stems. So, you know, it's not a one-hit wonder. It's not a seed or a bulb that it grows, you cut it, you gut out, then next year you got to gut out 100% of that plant material, sterilize 100% of the soil, kill off all the goodness in the soil. It's a nice sustainable crop in terms of that we only replant less than 5% of the crop a year. So this year we only replanted 4 beds out of hundreds. Last year we only did 1, the year before that none. So it's a cool crop, doesn't take a lot of heat. It's a dry crop, doesn't take a lot of water, and we're not heavily replanting. So it's a real sustainable crop to grow in the UK. So,
And if you
yeah.
have them under glass, they'll keep flowering this even through the winter.
Oh, yes. So we heat the greenhouses to only 10 degrees. So it goes back to when we were growing salad crops and other types of flowers that need about 18 degrees for a winter's night. So outside tonight, it's very mild. We haven't had our heaters on. We had our heating on for about a couple of days, 2 weeks ago, when it was pretty nippy. But the next 10 days, it's all above 10 degrees at night. So our heating season is very, very short. And these are the little things that we burn. If I can just, you might see the little wooden pellets.
Yeah.
So this is what we burn. So we're near Goodwood, Slindon, Fontwell Estates. A lot of that woodland has to be managed. All that managed wood goes over to a little village called Yapton, and they make the wood into these little pellets, and that's what we burn. But as I say, in 2013, when we got the biomass, we used to burn about 100 tons a winter. But last year we burnt 20 tons. Nothing compared to chicken farming, other types of farming that need more heat. Buckingham Palace, leisure centre, schools, offices, other types of businesses that burn a lot of these. We're growing a cool crop, so it only needs to be heated to 10 degrees through a winter's night, and we still get very, very good production through the winter. People used to go, oh yeah, Ben, flowers are going around the world, but you're burning oil. Even if we were burning a little bit of oil, our carbon footprint would be less than the foreign stuff. But now we're not burning oil. We're burning locally sourced wood that has to be managed and taken down anyway. And again, we're on the south coast. We didn't get a single frost last year. We're going to get into November without probably turning the heating on anyway. And most years we turn our heating off at the end of February. Whereas if we were up in Lincolnshire now growing poinsettias and tulips and lilies, our heating would be on tonight. Whereas Alstroemeria can heat it at 10 and it will just chug on through the winter beautifully. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's a nice sustainable crop to grow. That's what I mean. It's right plant, right place. If any flower growers are watching this, just choose plants and flowers that are going to grow well in your flower farm and things like that. Don't try and put all your energy into something that may not grow, may grow. Do you know what I mean? So give yourself a chance, you know? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So at this point in our show, Mark has a quick fire round for all our guests.
Lightning round.
Round of questions.
So first thing that comes to your head. So tea or coffee?
None. Hot chocolate. I don't like tea or coffee.
Oh wow. First person ever to turn
Hot
down
chocolate
tea
in the winter, water all other times. Got to keep healthy.
Nice. Flowers or edibles? It's got to be flowers, surely.
I don't know though. I do grow a lot of edibles like the aubergines, tomatoes, courgette, cucumbers, and I do love a tomato pie as well.
Didn't even
got to be
talk about that. Oh my god, ridiculous.
Beach or forest?
Gonna go beach because it's winter and beach would be good now.
Yeah, get you through the winter on a beach. That'd be nice. What's your go-to emoji on a text message? Of course it is. If you could only have one snack for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, I do like Monster Munch.
Oh, which ones?
Doesn't really matter.
Pickled onion.
But it's my favourite crisp, Monster Munch, so I'll go with that. It's quick fire rounds. There you go.
Good choice. Dog or cat?
Oh, I have both. I'm not sure. Who's closer?
Who's listening?
I'll go cat because they're rat catchers. Don't use any it's on the nursery. It's all the cat does a good job. So
Oh,
go.
brilliant.
One of your employees. Finish the sentence. My perfect day would be
Easy.
Yeah. In bed.
Chill out, easy. A perfect day would be just easy going. Yeah.
no stress. Sowing seeds or potting on?
Oof, I don't do any of that really because it's all root based. So I do like just planting. Planting is very something about planting the little new plants. I do love that. So whacking
Hands
the
in the
plant,
soil.
hands in the soil. Yeah. Mm.
Spring or summer?
Spring is too darn hot in the greenhouses in summer. 40 odd degrees. Too hot
God,
for
yeah.
spring.
How do the plants cope with summer if they're a cool weather plant?
Yeah, so basically, blame me for rubbish summers. I'm there doing my rain dance. You know what I mean? 'Cause, the soil temperature gets to 30 degrees, the air temperature gets to 40 degrees in the greenhouse, and basically the roots do like what you guys want to do: chill out, Pimm's o'clock, G&T on the beach, go to a festival and chill out. And the roots trap in all available moisture, so actually we harvest more than they can regenerate. So we have flowers in the summer, but not so many. It's spring and autumn when the soil temperature, the air temperature, everything's perfect for them. So
wow.
yeah, I prefer spring than summer. And I like a cool summer, but not a dang hot one. Yeah.
This one was fine then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. And a beautiful mild autumn. Rubbish summers and mild autumns, that's my dream because I haven't found. Yeah.
Today's favourite plant?
Sorry?
Today's favourite plant?
Oh, well, Alstroemeria, gotta be.
Have you got a favourite variety or colour?
I always answer that question. I've got two. So my grower's favourite is called Dana. It's been in the greenhouse since the late 80s. It's still chugging on, lovely, thick as your thumb stems, and that just grows winter, summer. It just gets through everything, and it's beautiful to grow, really productive, easy to maintain, beautiful. And then I've got a variety, that's a pale pink variety, so you know, it's a good filler colour. But then I've got a variety called Odessa. Odessa's a beautiful colour. It's like white, green, purple, and pink, and neon colours. It's wacky. It's cool. But we've only got one bed of that because it's a rubbish producer and rubbish to maintain and gets loads of pests and disease. So they're my two favourites. One for the colour and one as a grower's favourite because it's nice and easy to grow.
Lovely.
Yeah.
This one's going to be the same answer as well. If you could choose one plant to describe yourself, what would it be?
No. Alstroemeras are beautiful. I don't think that's going to happen for me. I don't know. That's tricky. That is a tricky one. Was it what plant or what flower?
Plant.
Either.
For some reason, I've got sunflower in my head. Maybe I'm tall and I've got a big head or something. Yeah, no, I just quite like sunflowers because I used to grow them at kindergarten and then junior school, and you know I still grow them in my. I've got a backyard growing loads of stuff, but I guess I never really talk about that. But yeah, go for sunflowers. They're cool. Yeah.
Choice.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for your time.
No worries.
Excellent, yeah. It's been fantastic. We'll have to get you back on next year or something and talking about you and your grow and your back garden and you know everything else. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, and as I said, if we did like a summertime version at 7:30, I could actually. I've got Wi-Fi in one of the glass houses, so we
That
could
would
do
be amazing.
live. So I've got. I can show you some flowers behind me, but
Yeah.
I could take you and the viewers into the greenhouses if we did a summer 7:30 session. So
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Just can we just have a quick look at some of the flowers before we disappear?
yeah, was there some questions in the comments as well?
I haven't seen any.
I
don't see comments.
I think there was one asking what would you put with Alstroemeria in a flower arrangement. I think.
Florists use all sorts with the Alstroemeria. That's what's good about the Alstro. They make good filler flowers, so they they look really good on their own, like they do behind me, when there's loads of them. But otherwise, Alstroemeria just blend in with all other flowers, so they're a really good one to use. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I can see, other than being like really far back. But I'm sure if anybody's got any questions for Ben, they can direct it up to him on Instagram, and he'll happily answer.
Yeah, you can just message me or whatever. But thanks very much, guys, for.
No, thank you. It's been really good. Really, really good.
Nice one. Are you going to record? Have you recorded this or something? Or
Yeah, it will be posted to Instagram as soon as we've finished, and then on Friday it will be converted to a podcast. So you'll be able to get it wherever you get podcasts.
Okay, very, very clever. Well done.
So Mark will add you.
Rubbish at technology. So
Mark will add you as a collaborator. So just press accept, and that will go onto your thread as well.
Nice one. I've still got an iPhone 8, so I'm yeah, proper old school, but yeah, nice one. I'll love you and leave you then. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks so much, Ben. Cheers, mate.
Keep rocking.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Absolutely unbelievable.
Just winds me up. Like, how stupid are we? Like, why people can't just figure that out? Buy flowers from this country. Don't fly them from Kenya, for God's sakes.
Oh God!
It's the same what Chris was saying last week. You know, Guernsey used to grow all of our tomatoes, and now all the greenhouses are derelict.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. We used to do everything ourselves, but now we just go, oh, fair trade, and we're paying farmers like $1 a day or whatever it is.
Yeah,
like how is that fair? Not fair trade at all. We're just exploiting people, and we don't see it, so it's fine.
Yeah, because it's all in the supermarket when we want it. We walk in there and have that, and that's there. You don't think about it.
And how many generations of people have we lost? Like Ben, like he's the only person that he knows that's still doing it. So many families would probably just say to their sons, don't do what I do. Go do something else, because there's no money in it. And then all of that skill from hundreds and hundreds of years is just lost.
That's what he said, yeah.
It's so sad. We're just losing that knowledge.
Oh dear. But yeah, so buy your flowers. Test some flowers out for Ben, everybody. Just try them, because they are fantastic. And they did last. They were well over 2.5, 3 weeks, still looking fantastic. They really were. So just don't go to the supermarket and get them. Just buy them from Ben. Yeah, they might take a couple of days to get to you, but when you get them, they instead of having that vase of shit. Oh, done it. That vase of rubbish flowers, which are going to die within 4 to 5 days. Get some Alstroemeria, and they last for 3 weeks nearly.
Well, the thing is, as well, it's like you say, it is almost a luxury item. So if you don't want to pay more, just don't bother buying any flowers. Or if you don't pay more, go and pick some from your garden. Yeah. Like the last thing you should do is go and buy some from the supermarket that have come halfway across the world and are coated in all sorts of chemicals. Because you can get flowers out of your garden all year round. Yeah. It doesn't take many plants to have flowers. You don't even need to grow flowers for cut flowers. Just grow perennials. Go around and cut a few stems every now and again. Yeah. Grow some sweet peas. Grow some sunflowers.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just don't buy them. Don't buy them from the supermarket. Silly.
Or buy local. Buy local. I mean, there are local growers, but whatever you do, don't buy from a supermarket, because you can guarantee they're not from an ethical place.
Well, definitely not. It's so misleading. They're just lying to us on the packaging and things. They're blatant lies.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like all the supermarkets doing their own branded stuff and saying it's such and such farm. It's from such and such farm, and
Oh,
it's not
they're
even
not
a real farm. It's just
Not a real farm.
yeah, it's just a brand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a real farm. Oh dear. But yeah, go and check out Ben and British Flower Rocks because it's all real good stuff. Real good stuff.
And you're supporting a family business that's been going nearly 100 years.
It is nearly getting on for 100 years.
Let's hope he is still around when it's the 100-year anniversary.
Yeah.
As in the business, not Ben.
What's it, 12 years?
Yeah.
1936. Yes, it's 12 years.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will be. Sure he will.
If we all keep supporting him, he will be.
Definitely. Right. Another good guest. That was really, really good. Enjoyed that.
Don't forget, we're doing a walk on Sunday.
Yes, get over and get on to give George a couple
Thank
of
you to
quid.
everyone that's already donated.
Yeah.
He does
He's
really appreciate it, and Greenfinger really appreciate it as well.
8 miles for Greenfingers. Brilliant.
Should have had my neck thing on. I've got sent a nice new Greenfingers neck warmery thing.
Ooh.
We're gonna look like Greenfingers have thrown up on us on Sunday because we've got t-shirts, we've got all sorts of stuff.
You'll have to do a map of where you're going. Post a map of where the actual route is.
Yeah, everybody's going to be sick of hearing it by Sunday because I'm going to go full out assault of everything for the rest of the week after.
Good.
You'll hear lots about it.
Everybody share it.
Yeah.
Let's make it really good for George. Right. Tea time.
Right. See you next week, everyone.
Thanks for watching. See you later. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Cheers, Ben.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Through the Garden Gate.